Captain John Blake stood on the bridge of the Earth Defense Station, watching the stars through the wide windows. The station floated in space near Mars, keeping watch over the solar system. John had been in charge here for 3 years, and nothing exciting had ever happened. Most days were quiet, with only supply ships coming and going. That morning started like any other. John drank his coffee and read reports from his crew. The coffee was terrible, but it was the only thing that kept him awake during the long shifts. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Pete Collins, walked over with a worried look on his face. "Captain, we're getting strange readings from near Jupiter," Pete said, holding a data pad. "Something big just appeared on our sensors." John put down his coffee and looked at the screen. A massive object was moving slowly through space, much larger than any ship humans had ever built. It was dark and sleek, with strange curves that hurt to look at. The ship was clearly not from Earth. "How big is it?" John asked. "About 10 times larger than our biggest ships," Pete replied. "And Captain, it's sending out distress signals." John felt his heart beat faster. This was first contact with an alien race. Everything they did now would be remembered forever. He thought about all the training exercises, all the plans they had made for this moment. None of it seemed real anymore. "Send a message," John ordered. "Tell them we received their distress call and we want to help." The reply came faster than expected. The alien ship's message appeared on their screens, translated by the computer into English. The words were formal and cold. "We are the Zephyrian exploration vessel Stellar Crown. Our quantum drive systems have failed. We require immediate assistance with repairs. We do not normally ask for help from primitive species, but we have no choice." John tried not to feel insulted by being called primitive. These aliens clearly had better technology than humans. Their ship was proof of that. But they needed help, and Earth's laws were clear about helping those in distress. "Prepare a shuttle," John told Pete. "Get Dr. Lisa Martinez from the science section. If we're going to make contact with aliens, we need our best people." Dr. Lisa Martinez had spent her whole life studying the possibility of alien life. She was the head of the xenobiology department on the station, even though she had never seen a real alien before. When Pete called her to the bridge, she could hardly believe what was happening. "This is really it," she whispered, looking at the alien ship on the screen. "We're not alone." The shuttle trip to the alien vessel took 2 hours. John, Pete, and Lisa sat in nervous silence as they approached the massive ship. Up close, it was even more impressive. The hull seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that changed colors in the light. Strange symbols covered the surface, glowing softly in the darkness of space. The aliens let them dock with their ship. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and 3 humans stepped into an alien world for the first time in history. The inside of the ship was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The walls were smooth and curved, made of the same crystal material as the hull. Soft light seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. The air smelled like flowers, but with a sharp edge that made their noses tingle. The Zephyrians who met them were unlike anything they had imagined. They were tall and thin, about 8 feet high, with bodies that seemed to be made of living crystal. Their faces were angular and sharp, with large eyes that glowed with inner light. When they moved, their bodies caught the light and threw it back in rainbow patterns. The leader of the aliens stepped forward. When he spoke, his voice seemed to come from inside their heads rather than their ears. "I am High Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. You are the humans who answered our call for help?" It was not a question. Lisa stepped forward, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm Dr. Lisa Martinez. This is Captain John Blake and Engineer Pete Collins. We want to help you fix your ship." Veltar looked at them for a long moment. His glowing eyes seemed to see right through them. "Your species is very young," he said finally. "We have been traveling the stars for over 100,000 of your years. We have seen the rise and fall of 1,000 civilizations. Most species never leave their home worlds. Fewer still develop space travel. Almost none survive long enough to help others. "We may be young," John said, "but we're here. What do you need?" The alien commander led them through the ship. It was huge inside, with corridors that seemed to go on forever. They passed other Zephyrians who stopped to stare at the humans with curiosity. Some seemed friendly, others looked suspicious or afraid. The engine room was the size of a small city. Massive crystal formations filled the space, connected by streams of energy that moved like living things. At the center was the quantum drive, a sphere of pure light that flickered and sparked with obvious damage. "Our drive core is failing," Veltar explained. "It requires rare elements to repair, elements that exist in the core of your planet." Pete whistled softly as he looked at the alien technology. "This is incredible. How does it work?" "It folds space and time," Veltar said simply. "What you call faster-than-light travel. But the process requires materials that are very difficult to find." Lisa studied the readings on her scanner. "These elements, we know they exist in Earth's core, but we have no way to get them. Our technology isn't advanced enough." The alien commander's expression changed. For the first time, he looked almost sad. "We know. That is our problem. Our ship is dying, and we cannot fix it with your current abilities. Our people face a choice. We can abandon the ship and return home in escape pods, losing 30,000 years of exploration data. Or we can wait." "Wait for what?" John asked. "For your species to grow. To develop the technology we need. It will take time. Perhaps 30,000 of your years, perhaps more. We would have to enter deep sleep and trust that when we wake, humanity will be ready to help us." The three humans looked at each other in shock. 30,000 years was longer than all of human recorded history. "There's another option," Pete said slowly. "We could try to help you now. Our technology is different from yours, but maybe we can find a way to combine them." Veltar seemed surprised. "You would risk your lives to help strangers? That's what people do?" Lisa said simply. For the first time since they had arrived, the alien commander smiled. For the next 3 weeks, human and Zephyrian engineers worked together day and night. Pete Collins had never been so excited in his life. The alien technology was far beyond anything humans had built, but he was starting to understand how it worked. The Zephyrians used crystal matrices to channel energy, while humans used metal and circuits. Dr. Lisa Martinez spent her time learning about Zephyrian biology and culture. She discovered that they were an ancient race that had explored most of the galaxy. They had seen countless civilizations rise and fall. To them, humans were barely more than children who had just learned to walk, but Veltar was beginning to see something special in humans. Where other races might have been afraid or greedy when faced with superior technology, humans were curious and helpful. Pete asked endless questions about how things worked, not to steal the knowledge, but to understand it better. "Your people are unusual," Veltar told Lisa one day as they walked through the ship's garden. "The Zephyrians grew strange plants that glowed with soft light and made music when the wind touched them. Most young species are either too afraid to help or too eager to take what is not theirs." "We're not perfect," Lisa admitted. "Some humans would probably try to steal your technology if they could, but most of us believe in helping others when we can." The repair work was not going well. Human technology was too primitive to fix the quantum drive directly. But Pete had an idea that was so crazy it might work. Instead of trying to copy Zephyrian technology, they could build a hybrid system that used both human and alien parts. "We can't make the materials you need," Pete explained to Veltar and the other Zephyrian engineers. "But we can make something that does the same job using different methods. It won't be as good as your original system, but it might get you home." The Zephyrian engineers were doubtful. Their technology was perfect and precise. Human technology was rough and simple. How could the two work together? But as they began building the hybrid system, something amazing happened. The rough human methods actually made the Zephyrian technology stronger in some ways. Human redundancy. Systems meant that if one part failed, others could take over. Zephyrian precision meant that the human parts worked more efficiently than ever before. Captain John Blake watched the work from the bridge of the alien ship. Veltar had given him permission to observe their operations, and John was amazed by what he saw. The Zephyrians ran their ship with only a few dozen crew members, while a human ship the same size would need thousands. "How do you do it?" John asked. "Our technology thinks for itself," Veltar explained. "The ship's mind handles most tasks automatically. We only make the big decisions." John tried to imagine what it would be like to have a ship that could think. It was an exciting and scary idea at the same time. After a month of work, the hybrid drive system was ready for testing. The whole project had become a joint effort, with humans and Zephyrians working side by side. Language barriers had disappeared as they found ways to communicate through mathematics and engineering diagrams. The test was a success. The drive system came online with a deep hum that could be felt throughout the ship. The crystal formations began to glow brighter, and energy flowed through the hybrid connections like water through a river. "Incredible," whispered one of the Zephyrian engineers. "The human modifications have actually improved our efficiency by 12%. But the celebration was short-lived. Veltar called John, Pete, and Lisa to a private meeting in his quarters. The alien commander looked tired, which was something they had never seen before. "We have a problem," Veltar said. "The hybrid system works, but it is not strong enough for a full journey home. We can travel perhaps a tenth of the distance before it fails completely." "What does that mean?" Lisa asked, though she was afraid. She already knew the answer. "It means we are still stranded. The repairs have bought us time, but not freedom." Veltar was quiet for a moment, then continued. "There is one option we have not discussed. Our deep sleep technology." Pete leaned forward. "You mentioned that before. How does it work?" "We can place our entire crew in suspended animation. In this state, we need almost no resources to survive. We could sleep for thousands of years while the ship hides itself and waits." "Waits for what?" John asked. "For humanity to advance enough to help us properly. Based on your current rate of technological growth, we estimate it will take approximately 30,000 years for your species to develop the tools we need." The three humans stared at him in shock. 30,000 years was an impossibly long time. Human civilization was only a few thousand years old. In 30,000 years, would humans even still exist? "There is something else," Veltar continued. "Before we enter the deep sleep, we want to give you something, a gift to help your species grow faster." He led them to a secured section of the ship they had never seen before. Inside was a collection of Zephyrian knowledge crystals, each one containing vast amounts of information about science, technology, and the galaxy. "We cannot give you our most advanced technology," Veltar explained. "That would be dangerous for a young species, but we can share basic principles that will help you develop faster. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, basic space travel improvements." Lisa picked up one of the crystals. It felt warm in her hands and seemed to pulse with inner life. "Why would you trust us with this?" she asked. "Because you helped us when you gained nothing from it," Veltar replied. "Because you worked beside us as equals, not as servants or masters. Because you show the wisdom to grow slowly and carefully." John felt the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "What if we're not ready in 30,000 years? What if we disappoint you?" Veltar's crystal face showed something that might have been a smile. "Then we will sleep longer. We have waited 100,000 years to find a species like yours. We can wait a little more." The next week was spent preparing for the long sleep. The Zephyrians hid their ship in the deepest part of Earth's oceans, where human technology could not yet reach. They programmed their systems to monitor human progress and wake them when the time was right. On the last day, Veltar stood with the three humans in the ship's docking bay. Soon he would join his people in the deep sleep, and the ship would sink to the ocean floor. "Will you remember us?" Lisa asked. "We will remember everything," Veltar promised. "When we wake, we will look for your descendants. We will see what your species has become." As the humans returned to their shuttle, they carried with them the knowledge crystals and the greatest secret in human history. They had met aliens, helped them, and been trusted with gifts that would change everything. But they also carried a burden. In 30,000 years, the Zephyrians would wake up expecting humanity to be ready to help them. The future of both species now depended on human growth and wisdom. As their shuttle flew away from the alien ship, John, Pete, and Lisa watched it disappear beneath the waves. They were returning to Earth as the only humans who knew that humanity was not alone in the universe, and that someday their new friends would return. 30,000 years had passed since the Zephyrians went to sleep beneath Earth's oceans. The world had changed in ways that the ancient aliens could never have imagined. Admiral Kate Morrison stood in the command center of Terra Prime, the massive space station that served as the capital of human civilization. Through the enormous windows, she could see hundreds of ships coming and going, carrying people and goods between thousands of worlds that humans now called home. Kate was not like the humans of 30,000 years ago. Her body had been enhanced, with genetic improvements that made her stronger, smarter, and able to live for hundreds of years. Her mind could process information faster than the best computers of ancient Earth. But despite all these changes, she was still human in all the ways that mattered. "Admiral," called Dr. Sam Rivera from across the command center, "we're getting interesting readings from the deep ocean mining operations near Earth." Kate walked over to look at Sam's screens. Dr. Rivera was her chief science officer and one of the best experts on ancient alien technology in human space. He had spent decades studying the few artifacts left behind by races that had visited Earth long ago. "What kind of readings?" Kate asked. "Energy signatures that don't match anything. In our databases," Sam replied, pointing to the strange patterns on his screen. "The mining crews detected them near the Mariana Trench. The patterns are artificial, definitely created by intelligent beings." Kate felt a chill run down her spine. There were old stories about ancient visitors to Earth, but most people thought they were just myths. Her own family had passed down tales of aliens who had once asked for help, but she had never believed them completely. "How deep?" she asked. "Nearly 11 kilometers down, far deeper than any ancient human civilization could have reached. Admiral, I think we've found something that's been hidden for a very long time." Kate made a decision that would change everything. "Prepare a deep ocean exploration team. I want to know what's down there." The exploration took 3 days to organize. Kate insisted on leading the mission herself, despite protests from her staff. As the admiral of the Terra Prime Defense Network, she was too important to risk on what might be a wild chase for ancient myths. But Kate had a feeling about this discovery. The energy readings were too regular, too purposeful to be natural. Something was down there, and it was waking up. The deep ocean explorer ship Magellan II descended through the dark waters toward the source of the energy signals. Kate stood on the bridge with Dr. Rivera and Captain Ben Hughes, who commanded the exploration vessel. Ben was a quantum-enhanced officer with specialized training in first contact situations, though no one expected they would need such skills. "On this mission." "There," Dr. Rivera said suddenly, pointing at the main screen. "Do you see it?" At first, Kate saw only darkness. Then, slowly, shapes began to appear in the deep ocean. It was a ship, but unlike anything in human databases. It was enormous, at least 10 times larger than the biggest human vessels. Its hull was made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft inner light. "That's not human," Captain Hughes said quietly. "That's not anything we've ever built." As they watched, the alien ship began to rise from the ocean floor. Water cascaded off its crystal hull as it moved upward with impossible grace. Lights began to appear along its surface, growing brighter as the ship awakened from its long sleep. "Admiral," Dr. Rivera said, his voice tense with excitement and fear, "I'm reading massive energy buildups throughout the ship. Whatever was sleeping in there is waking up." Kate opened a communication channel to the alien vessel. "This is Admiral Kate Morrison of the Terran Confederation. We see that you are awakening. Please respond if you can understand us." The reply came immediately, in perfect modern English. "We are the Zephyrian exploration vessel Stellar Crown. We have been sleeping in your oceans for 30,000 years, waiting for your species to develop sufficient technology to assist us. Are you the descendants of John Blake, Pete Collins, and Dr. Lisa Martinez?" Kate felt her heart skip a beat. Those were the names from the old family stories, the ones she had thought were myths. "Yes," she replied. "We are their descendants. I am Admiral Morrison, and these are Dr. Rivera and Captain Hughes. We remember the old stories about your people. Then the time has come for us to meet again. We are High Commander Veltar of the Zephyrian Empire. May we request permission to surface? We have much to discuss." As the massive alien ship rose toward the surface, Kate sent emergency messages to President Alex Turner and the Galactic Human Council. This was the most important moment in human history since the species had first left Earth. Everything they did now would determine the future of human-alien relations. The Stellar Crown broke the surface of the ocean like a rising island. Ships from around the solar system began converging on the area. News of the alien awakening spread through human space faster than light, carried by quantum communication networks that spanned thousands of worlds. Kate took a shuttle to the alien ship, just as her ancestors had done 30,000 years before. But this time, the meeting was between equals. The humans who approached the Zephyrian vessel were no longer primitive beings asking for scraps of knowledge. They were the representatives of a civilization that had spread across the galaxy. High Commander Veltar met them at the airlock. He looked exactly as the old records described him, tall and graceful with a body made of living crystal. But when Kate looked into his glowing eyes, she saw something she had not expected: surprise. "You have grown," Veltar said simply. "Far more than we calculated." Dr. Rivera stepped forward with a portable scanner in his hands. "Commander Veltar, we've been studying your technology for 30,000 years. We've learned much from the knowledge crystals you left with our ancestors." "Show me," Veltar said. Dr. Rivera activated the scanner, and a holographic display appeared between them. It showed the current state of human technology, achievements that would have seemed like magic to the humans of ancient Earth. "We have mastered faster than light travel," Dr. Rivera explained. "We can fold space and time, create matter from energy, and build ships larger than planets. We have peaceful relationships with over 200 alien species across 10,000 worlds." Veltar was quiet for a long moment, studying the holographic display. When he finally spoke, his voice carried a note of wonder that Kate had not expected from such an ancient being. "Impossible," he whispered. "Your species has advanced beyond our most optimistic projections. You have achieved in 30,000 years what took us 100,000. Captain Hughes smiled. "We had good teachers. The knowledge you left behind helped us avoid many mistakes. But we also learned from other species we met along the way." "Other species?" Veltar asked sharply. "You have made contact with other aliens?" "Hundreds of them," Kate replied. "We've fought wars, made peace, formed alliances, and built a confederation that spans half the galaxy. The human race is no longer alone or afraid." For the first time, Since waking up, High Commander Veltar looked uncertain. The humans he had left behind were supposed to be junior partners, grateful students learning from Zephyrian wisdom. But the beings who stood before him now were clearly his equals, and in some ways his superiors. "What do you need from us?" Kate asked gently. "Your message said you required assistance." Veltar gestured toward the interior of his ship. "Come, let me show you our situation, but I fear you may find our needs smaller than expected." As they walked through the stellar crown, Kate marveled at how familiar it felt. Human technology had developed along similar lines, using crystal matrices and energy channeling systems that were clearly inspired by Zephyrian designs. But the human versions were more elegant, more efficient, and far more powerful. "Our quantum drive still requires the rare elements found in planetary cores," Veltar explained as they reached the engine room. "We have the knowledge to extract them, but our ship lacks the power to reach the necessary depths." Dr. Rivera looked at the ancient drive system with professional interest. "Commander, our matter synthesis technology can create any elements you need. We can have the materials ready within hours." Veltar stopped walking. "You can create matter from energy?" "It's standard technology for us," Captain Hughes replied. "We learned the principles from your knowledge crystals and developed them further. Would you like us to repair your drive?" The alien commander was silent for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was very quiet. "We came here as teachers, expecting to guide primitive students. Instead, we find ourselves the students, learning from our former pupils." Kate placed a gentle hand on Veltar's crystal arm. "Then perhaps it's time for both our species to learn from each other as equals." Not all of the Zephyrians were happy about the situation they found when they woke up. While High Commander Veltar worked with the humans to repair the stellar crown, other members of his crew grew more and more upset. Sub-Commander Krell Nash was the leader of the unhappy group. He was younger than Veltar, but still ancient by human standards. For thousands of years before their long sleep, he had served as the ship's security chief. To him, the Zephyrians were the greatest race in the galaxy, and humans were nothing more than clever animals. "This is wrong," Krell Nash said to his followers as they gathered in a private section of the ship. "These humans claim they developed all this technology themselves, but that's impossible. They must have stolen it from our databases while we slept." "But how?" asked another Zephyrian. "Our security systems were active the whole time." "Human cunning," Krell Nash replied with disgust. "They probably found ways to break into our computers without triggering alarms. Now they pretend to be our equals, using our own knowledge against us." The angry Zephyrians began to plan ways to expose what they saw as human treachery. They secretly scanned human technology, looking for copied Zephyrian designs. They recorded conversations between their people and the humans, searching for evidence of deception. But the more they investigated, the more confused they became. Human technology was clearly different from Zephyrian designs. Where Zephyrians used precise crystal matrices, humans used chaotic but effective hybrid systems. Where Zephyrians followed ancient traditions, humans constantly invented new approaches to old problems. Meanwhile, Admiral Kate Morrison was dealing with political problems of her own. News of the Zephyrian awakening had spread throughout human space, and not everyone was happy about it. President Alex Turner called an emergency meeting of the Galactic Human Council. Representatives from thousands of human worlds gathered in virtual conference to discuss the situation. Many of them were afraid that the ancient aliens would try to claim authority over humanity. "These Zephyrians went to sleep when we were primitive," said Counselor Jane Wright from the Mars colonies. "Now they wake up and expect us to serve them like grateful children. We should send them away before they cause trouble." "They haven't asked us to serve them," Kate argued from her position at the council table. "In fact, they seem surprised by how much we've grown. High Commander Veltar has been completely respectful of our independence. So far, replied Counselor Dan Foster from the Outer Rim worlds. But what happens when more of their people arrive? What if they decide they want their planet back? Earth was never their planet, Dr. Rivera interjected. They were just travelers who needed help, the same way we've helped hundreds of other species over the years. But the debate continued for hours. Some council members wanted to treat the Zephyrians as honored guests. Others wanted to confiscate their ship and technology. A few extremists even suggested forcing them to leave human space immediately. President Turner finally called for order. We're not going to make any hasty decisions. Admiral Morrison, I want you to continue working with these aliens. Learn everything you can about their intentions and capabilities. The Council will meet again in 1 week to decide on our official response. As the Council meeting ended, Kate received an urgent message from Captain Hughes. Admiral, you need to get back to the Stellar Crown immediately. We're detecting incoming ships, and they don't look friendly. Kate rushed back to the alien vessel where she found Veltar and his crew in a state of panic. The usually calm aliens were running through their ship, preparing weapons and defenses that had not been used in thousands of years. What's happening? Kate asked as she arrived on the bridge. The hegemony, Veltar said, his crystal face showing deep worry. They have found us. Who is the hegemony? A faction of our people who believe in Zephyrian superiority above all else. They split from our main civilization thousands of years ago, when we began studying other species instead of conquering them. Dr. Rivera was already scanning the approaching fleet with human sensors. I count over 8,000 ships, Admiral. They're using technology similar to the Stellar Crown, but much more advanced. War Master Threxval leads them, Veltar continued. He was sent to find our ship when we failed to return home on schedule. By now, he has had 30,000 years to build an armada designed for one purpose, to punish any species that dared interfere with Zephyrian property. Kate felt a chill of fear, but also anger. They consider you property? They consider everything in the galaxy to be Zephyrian property, Veltar replied sadly. That is why we left them behind, but now they have come to reclaim us and to destroy any humans who helped us. The hegemony fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system. Their ships were sleek and deadly, designed for one purpose: war. At their head was a massive command vessel that dwarfed even the Stellar Crown. A message came from the fleet commander, broadcast on all frequencies, so that every human in the solar system could hear it. I am War Master Threxval of the Zephyrian. Hegemony! 30,000 years ago, you primitives unlawfully interfered with Zephyrian citizens and property. You have harbored our people and stolen our technology. The punishment for these crimes is the complete destruction of your species. Humans of Earth, you have 1 day to surrender the exploration vessel Stellar Crown and all crew members aboard. You will also surrender any humans who touched our ship or learned from our technology. If you refuse, we will destroy every human world in the galaxy. Kate opened a communication channel to President Turner and the Council. Mr. President, we have a situation. Within hours, the largest human fleet in history was assembling around Earth. Ships came from every corner of human space, carrying weapons and technology that would have amazed the humans of ancient times. Admiral Morrison found herself in command of 10,000 vessels, each one capable of destroying planets. But even with their advanced technology, Kate knew they were facing a terrible choice. The hegemony fleet was built specifically for war, while human ships were designed for exploration and trade. In a straight fight, the outcome was uncertain. Colonel Rick Davis commanded the elite Solar Guard, the most advanced military unit in human space. His ships were equipped with dimensional weapons that could fold space itself into weapons. Even, he was not sure they could win against the hegemony. Admiral, Colonel Davis reported from his flagship. My analysts say we have maybe a 50-50 chance in open battle. But if they really have been preparing for war for 30,000 years, they might have weapons we can't even imagine. What does High Commander Veltar say? Kate asked. He's trying to contact War Master Threxval directly, but the hegemony isn't responding to his signals. They don't seem interested in negotiation. Kate studied the tactical displays showing both fleets. The humans had numbers, but the hegemony had experience and weapons designed specifically for destruction. Millions of human lives hung in the balance. There has to be another way, she said. We didn't survive 30,000 years of growth just to be destroyed by ancient prejudices. Dr. Rivera looked up from his analysis station. Admiral, I've been studying the hegemony ship designs. They're using pure Zephyrian technology with no hybrid improvements like we developed. That might give us an advantage. How? Their systems are precise but inflexible. Our chaotic human modifications might be unpredictable enough to confuse their computers. It's not much, but it might be enough. As the two fleets faced each other across the solar system, Kate realized that the next few hours would determine whether humanity's 30,000 years of progress would end in destruction or mark the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The countdown to war had begun, and both sides were preparing for the largest space battle in the history of the galaxy. The deadline that War Master Threxval had given was only hours away. Admiral Kate Morrison stood on the bridge of her flagship, watching as human and hegemony fleets prepared for the largest space battle in galactic history. Both sides had weapons that could destroy planets, and both sides seemed ready to use them. Admiral, Dr. Rivera called from his station. High Commander Veltar is requesting permission to come aboard our ship. He says he has a plan. Kate nodded. Send a shuttle for him. When Veltar arrived on the human flagship, he looked older and more tired than Kate had ever seen him. The weight of 30,000 years seemed to be pressing down on his crystal shoulders. Admiral Morrison, he said formally, I must ask something terrible of you and your people. What do you need? I need you to let me try to split the hegemony fleet. Many of the ships out there contain Zephyrians who are not true believers in Threxval's war. They follow him because they think it is their duty, not because they hate your species. Kate studied the alien commander's face. What are you planning? I'm going to challenge Threxval's authority publicly. I will broadcast to every ship in his fleet, explaining what I have learned about humanity over the past weeks. Some of his followers might listen to reason. And if they don't? Veltar was quiet for a moment. Then I will fight beside you against my own people. It will be the first time in Zephyrian history that our race has gone to war against itself. Kate felt the weight of decision settling on her shoulders. If Veltar's plan failed, it might make the coming battle even worse. But if it succeeded, it could save millions of lives on both sides. Do it, she said finally. Veltar walked to the communications station and opened a channel to the entire hegemony fleet. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had commanded respect for thousands of years. Warriors of the hegemony, this is High Commander Veltar of the exploration vessel Stellar Crown. I speak to you now not as your enemy, but as a fellow Zephyrian who has seen truths that War Master Threxval refuses to acknowledge. On screens throughout both fleets, Zephyrians watch their ancient hero make a speech that would change their civilization forever. For 30,000 years, you have been told that humans stole our technology and claimed our achievements as their own. This is false. I have seen human worlds, studied human science, and fought beside human warriors. They have earned every advancement through their own intelligence and courage. Kate watched as some of the hegemony ships began to slow down, their crews listening to Veltar's words instead of preparing for battle. The humans we left behind were primitive, yes, but they were also kind, curious, and brave enough to help strangers who had nothing to offer in return. In 30,000 years, they have become everything we once hoped to be ourselves. They have built a civilization based on cooperation instead of conquest, growth instead of stagnation. War Master Threxval's response came immediately, broadcast. From his command ship with fury and contempt. Veltar, you have been corrupted by primitive thinking. These humans have poisoned your mind with their lies and deceptions. You are no longer fit to speak for our people. Then let our people decide for themselves, Veltar replied calmly. Look at the evidence. Study human achievements. See what they have built without our guidance. Judge for yourselves whether these beings deserve destruction or respect. For several tense minutes, the hegemony fleet hesitated. Ships that had been moving into attack formation began to drift as their crews debated among themselves. Kate could see the uncertainty spreading through their ranks. Then, slowly, some of the hegemony vessels began to separate from the main fleet. First dozens, then hundreds of ships moved away from Threxval's command and took neutral positions between the two forces. It's working, Colonel Davis reported from his flagship. About 30% of their fleet is breaking away. But the other 70% are still with Threxval and they're moving into attack position. War Master Threxval's voice came over the communication channels again, filled with rage. Cowards and traitors! You disgrace the Zephyrian name. Very well. I will destroy these primitives with loyal warriors only. The galaxy will learn that Zephyrian honor cannot be defeated by alien trickery. The battle began with a flash of light. That could be seen from Earth's surface. Hegemony ships launched weapons that tore holes in space itself, while human vessels responded with dimensional cannons that folded reality into deadly projectiles. Kate's flagship shook as enemy fire struck their shields. Around her, the bridge crew worked frantically to coordinate the human response. Dr. Rivera monitored enemy movements, while Captain Hughes directed their defensive formations. Their weapons are incredibly powerful, Hughes reported, but they're having trouble targeting our ships. Our chaotic movement patterns are confusing their computers. This was the advantage Dr. Rivera had predicted. Human technology had developed along different lines than pure Zephyrian systems. Where the aliens used precise, predictable patterns, humans used random variations that were harder to track. The space around Earth became a maze of energy beams, explosions, and ships moving at impossible speeds. Human vessels darted between, hegemony formations like angry insects, striking quickly and then disappearing before return fire could reach them. But the hegemony had advantages, too. Their ships were heavily armored and carried weapons that could destroy human vessels with single hits. For every alien ship that fell, 2 or 3 human ships were lost. We're taking heavy casualties, Colonel Davis reported. My people are fighting like heroes, but we can't keep this up much longer. Then something unexpected happened. High Commander Veltar activated the Stellar Crown's weapon systems and joined the battle. His ancient ship might have been outdated compared to human technology, but it was still formidable. More importantly, it inspired the neutral Zephyrian ships to choose sides. For truth and honor, Veltar broadcast as he attacked Threxval's forces. For the right of all species to grow and learn. One by one, the neutral Zephyrian ships began joining the fight against the hegemony. It became a 3-way battle, with humans and loyal Zephyrians fighting together against Threxval's fanatics. The tide of battle slowly began to turn. The combined human-Zephyrian force had more ships and greater tactical flexibility than the pure hegemony fleet. But Threxval still had the most powerful weapons, and he was willing to use them without mercy. Admiral, Dr. Rivera called out suddenly. Threxval's ship is charging some kind of superweapon. Energy readings are off the scale. Kate looked at the tactical display and felt her blood turn cold. The War Master's flagship was preparing to fire a weapon that could destroy Earth's entire moon. If it hit a populated planet, billions would die. All ships, she broadcast to the human fleet. Concentrate fire on the hegemony command vessel. We have to stop that weapon. But they were too far away. The human ships had been scattered by the battle, and there was no way to reach Threxval's ship before his weapon fired. Then Captain Ben Hughes made a decision that would be remembered forever. His ship, the exploration vessel that had first discovered the awakening stellar crown, broke formation and flew directly at the hegemony flagship. "Captain Hughes," Kate called. "What are you doing?" "Something crazy," Hughes replied. "And probably stupid. But if that weapon fires, millions of people die." Hughes flew his ship directly into the path of Threxaval's superweapon just as it fired. The beam that could have destroyed a moon struck the small human vessel instead. Hughes and his entire crew were vaporized instantly, but their sacrifice saved countless lives. The destruction of Hughes's ship had another effect that no one expected. Seeing a human willingly sacrifice himself to protect others shocked many of the remaining hegemony warriors. Some of them had been told that humans were selfish cowards who only cared about themselves. War Master Threxaval himself seemed stunned by what had happened. For a moment, his ship stopped firing and drifted in space as if its commander could not believe what he had witnessed. In that moment of hesitation, Admiral Morrison saw her chance. "All ships, full attack on the hegemony flagship. For Captain Hughes!" The combined human and Zephyrian fleet converged on Threxaval's ship from all directions. Even damaged and outnumbered, the hegemony commander fought back with desperate fury, but his ship could not withstand the concentrated assault. As his flagship began to break apart, Threxaval sent one final message to the surviving fleets. "I was wrong," he said, his voice filled with something that might have been wonder. "These humans, they are not primitives. They are exactly what we once promised to become ourselves." The great ship exploded in a flash of light that briefly outshone the sun. With their leader gone, the remaining hegemony forces surrendered. The battle was over, but the cost had been terrible. Thousands of ships from all three forces had been destroyed, and tens of thousands of beings had died. As rescue ships searched for survivors, Kate found herself standing beside High Commander Veltar on the observation deck of her flagship. Both of them were exhausted, but they had lived through the most important battle in galactic history. "You're Captain Hughes," Veltar said quietly. "He saved more lives today than we can count. His sacrifice will be remembered by both our peoples." Kate nodded, too tired and sad to speak. 3 months after the great battle, Admiral Kate Morrison found herself in a place she had never expected to be, the diplomatic reception hall of a Zephyrian ship, welcoming alien refugees to human space. The surrender of the hegemony fleet had created a massive problem. Nearly 5,000 alien ships full of Zephyrian warriors now had nowhere to go. They could not return home because they had rebelled against their own government. Many of them had nowhere else in the galaxy where they would be safe. President Alex Turner had made a surprising decision. Instead of sending the defeated aliens away, he offered them something unprecedented, the chance to become citizens of the Terran Confederation. These beings fought for what they believed was right, Turner had announced to the Galactic Human Council. "Some of them fought against us, but many of them chose to stand with us when they learned the truth. They deserve the same chance at freedom and growth that we give to any species." Not everyone agreed with the president's decision. Many humans were still angry about the attack and wanted the aliens punished. But Kate supported Turner's choice. She had seen how Zephyrians and humans could work together during the battle. The refugee integration process was complicated. Zephyrians had very different needs than humans. They required different food, different living spaces, and different social structures. Dr. Sam Rivera had been put in charge of figuring out how to make it all work. "The biggest challenge isn't physical," Sam explained to Kate as they walked through the temporary refugee camp that had been set up in space near Earth. "It's psychological. These beings have been taught for thousands of years that they were superior to all other species. Now they're asking for help from people they once considered primitive." Kate stopped to watch a group of young Zephyrians learning to use human communication technology. Their crystal bodies glowed with concentration as they struggled with concepts that human children learned easily. "How are they adapting?" Better than expected, Sam replied. The younger ones are especially quick to learn. They're curious about everything, especially human culture and technology. It's the older warriors who are having trouble. Not all the integration efforts were going smoothly. There had been several incidents where Zephyrian refugees had clashed with human civilians. Some aliens still believed they should be treated as honored guests rather than refugees asking for help. Some humans thought the aliens were dangerous and should be kept isolated. Colonel Rick Davis had been assigned to handle security for the refugee areas. His job was to prevent conflicts before they started and to deal with problems when they occurred. Yesterday, we had 3 Zephyrians try to improve a human factory without permission, Davis reported to Kate during their weekly meeting. They meant well, but they nearly caused an explosion. The human workers were not happy. What did you do? Made them work together to fix the damage. Funny thing is, by the end of the day, they were actually getting along pretty well. Turns out both sides learned something useful. The most successful integration efforts were happening in the scientific community. Human and Zephyrian researchers had discovered that their different approaches to problem-solving made them incredibly effective partners. Dr. Amy Clark, a specialist in interspecies communication, had been working with a team of Zephyrian scientists to develop new technologies that combined the best of both civilizations. The results were amazing. "Look at this," Amy said, showing Kate a holographic display of their latest project. "We combined human creativity with Zephyrian precision to create a new type of healing device. It can repair almost any injury in minutes. How does it work?" The humans came up with the idea of using quantum energy to accelerate natural healing. The Zephyrians figured out how to make it safe and precise. Neither group could have built it alone. But the most important changes were happening in the leadership of both species. High Commander Veltar had officially renounced his position in the Zephyrian Empire and requested permission to join the human military as an advisor. President Turner had agreed, making Veltar the first alien to serve in the Terran Defense Forces. "I have learned more about leadership from humans in 3 months than I learned from my own people in 3,000 years. Veltar told Kate during one of their planning meetings. "Your species has a gift for bringing out the best in others." Thei's former hegemony warriors were also changing. Many of them had requested permission to serve in human defense forces, wanting to protect the worlds that had given them shelter. Their military experience and advanced technology made them valuable allies. Sub-Commander Krell Nash, who had once been one of Veltar's biggest critics, now served as a liaison between human and Zephyrian military units. He had been among the first to see how wrong his assumptions about humans had been. "I spent years believing that humans had stolen our technology," Krell Nash admitted to Kate. "I was looking for evidence of theft and deception. Instead, I found innovation and creativity that put our own efforts to shame." The integration process received its biggest test when a new crisis arose. Deep space monitoring stations detected a massive object approaching human space from outside the galaxy. It was clearly artificial, larger than a planet, and it was heading directly for Earth. "What are we looking at?" Kate asked as she studied the sensor readings in the Terra Prime Command Center. "Unknown," Dr. Rivera replied. "It's not matching any patterns in our databases. The energy signature is unlike anything we've seen from any known species." High Commander Veltar examined the data with growing concern. "This matches descriptions from very old Zephyrian legends. Stories about beings who traveled between galaxies, seeding worlds with life, and then returning to check on their progress. You think these might be the people who created your species?" Kate asked. "It's possible. If the legends are true, they would have technology that makes both humans and Zephyrians look like children playing with simple toys. The approaching object was still months away, but its arrival would clearly be the most significant event in galactic history." Human and Zephyrian scientists worked together frantically to prepare for whatever was coming. President Turner called for a joint session of the Galactic Human Council and the newly formed Zephyrian Colonial Assembly. For the first time in history, Humans and aliens would plan their response to a crisis as true partners. "We don't know if these visitors will be friendly or hostile," Turner told the assembled representatives. "But we do know that we're stronger together than we could ever be apart. 3 months ago, our species were enemies. Today, we're allies facing the unknown together." The preparations took on a new urgency when the mysterious object changed course, slightly, adjusting its trajectory to arrive at Earth exactly 1 year from the date it was first detected. Clearly, whatever intelligence controlled it had been observing human and Zephyrian activities and had decided that the time was right for contact. Kate found herself appointed as the Supreme Commander of the Joint Human-Zephyrian Defense Force. It was a responsibility she had never wanted, but she was the only person trusted by both species. "A year from now," she told her mixed staff of human and alien officers, "we'll either be welcoming new friends to our corner of the galaxy, or we'll be fighting for the survival of everything we've built together." Admiral Veltar, now serving as her second-in-command, nodded gravely. "Either way, we will face it as one people, not two." As preparations continued for the arrival of the galaxy visitors, Kate often thought about how much had changed since the Zephyrians had first awakened from their long sleep. Both species had been forced to grow in ways they never expected. Humans had learned that their rapid advancement was not just about technology, but about their ability to adapt and cooperate with others. Zephyrians had learned that wisdom did not come from age alone, but from the willingness to accept new ideas and change old ways of thinking. The real test of their partnership was still to come. In less than a year, beings with technology beyond imagination would arrive at Earth. Whatever happened then would determine the future of all intelligent life in the galaxy. But for the first time in their history, neither humans nor Zephyrians would face that future alone. The year of preparation passed more quickly than anyone expected. Admiral Kate Morrison stood in the command center of Terra Prime, watching the largest fleet in galactic history take formation around Earth. Human ships flew alongside Zephyrian vessels, their crews working together as if they had been allies for centuries instead of months. "Final count, Admiral," reported Captain Ben Hughes, Jr., son of the hero who had died in the Great Battle. 12,000 ships from human worlds, 3,000 from our Zephyrian allies, and volunteer units from 47 other species. Who want to stand with us? Kate nodded, though her attention was focused on the main display screen. The mysterious object from outside the galaxy was now close enough to see clearly. It was not a ship in any sense that either humans or Zephyrians understood. It was a living thing, a creature made of organized energy and matter that defied every law of physics they knew. "It's beautiful," whispered Dr. Amy Clark from her position at the science station. She had spent the past year learning to communicate with the most alien species in known space, preparing for this moment. The being was indeed beautiful. It moved through space like a jellyfish swimming through an ocean, pulsing with lights that shifted through colors that had no names. As it approached Earth, smaller parts of itself broke away and reformed into shapes that looked almost like traditional spacecraft. High Commander Veltar, now wearing the uniform of a Terran admiral, studied the creature with professional interest. The legend spoke of beings like this. The gardeners, we called them. Species who planted the seeds of life throughout the universe and then watched to see what would grow. "Are they dangerous?" Kate asked. "Unknown. The legends say they judged each species they encountered. Those who passed their tests were allowed to continue growing. Those who failed..." Veltar left the sentence unfinished, but his meaning was clear. The first contact came as a gentle touch in the minds of every intelligent being in the solar system. The communication was not in words, but in pure concepts that translated automatically into whatever language each listener understood best. "Children of Earth and children of crystal worlds, we greet you. We are the architects of what you call life. We have traveled far to see what you have become." Kate stepped forward to the communication station, knowing that she was about to speak for not just humanity, but for all the allied species in their fleet. "We welcome you to our solar system. I am Admiral Kate Morrison, speaking for the Terran, Confederation, and our allies. We are honored by your visit." The response came with a feeling of amusement that was warm and somehow familiar. "Admiral Morrison, your species and your allies intrigue us. We planted the seeds for both your races millions of years ago, but you have grown in ways we did not expect. You have chosen cooperation over conquest, growth over stagnation. This is rare." Dr. Rivera, monitoring the conversation from his analysis station, looked up with excitement. "Admiral, they're scanning our ships and our databases. They're learning everything about us in real time." The mental voice of the architects continued. "We see your history, your struggles, your achievements. The crystal children learned wisdom through age and experience. The young race learned wisdom through curiosity and adaptability. But most interesting is what you have learned together." One of the smaller architect forms approached Kate's flagship. As it came closer, it began to take on a more familiar shape, like a ship that both humans and Zephyrians could understand and enter. "Will you join us aboard our vessel? We have much to discuss." Kate looked at Veltar, who nodded. "In Zephyrian tradition, when the gardeners call, one must answer." The diplomatic party that boarded the architect vessel was small but representative. Kate and Veltar led the group, accompanied by Dr. Clark, Dr. Rivera, Captain Hughes Jr., and Sub-Commander Krelnash. Each of them had played a role in bringing their species together. The inside of the architect ship was unlike anything they had ever seen. The walls seemed to be made of crystallized space itself, showing views of distant galaxies and alien worlds. The air itself hummed with intelligence, as if the ship was not just a vehicle but a living being that thought and dreamed. The architect who met them appeared as a figure of pure light, constantly shifting between forms that suggested both human and Zephyrian characteristics. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "You are the first species we have encountered who achieved true cooperation between different evolutionary paths. Most civilizations either remain isolated or one group dominates the others. You have created something new." Dr. Clark stepped forward. "What we've created isn't perfect. We still have conflicts and disagreements. But we've learned that our differences make us stronger when we work together." "Indeed. Your human creativity combined with Zephyrian precision has produced innovations that neither group could achieve alone. Your hybrid technologies are more elegant than our own designs from the early days of this galaxy." Veltar looked surprised. "You find our technology impressive?" "We find your approach impressive. You do not seek to impose one way of thinking on all problems. Instead, you allow different perspectives to compete and combine naturally. This is the sign of a truly mature civilization." The architect led them to a chamber that showed views of the entire galaxy. Points of light marked worlds with intelligent life, connected by streams of energy that showed trade routes, communication networks, and alliance agreements. "We have been watching this galaxy for millions of years," the architect explained. "Most species reach a point where they stop growing, either through conquest that makes them rigid or isolation that makes them stagnant. You have found a third path." Kate studied the display, seeing the network of human worlds and their allies spread across thousands of star systems. "What happens now?" "Now you graduate. We came here to determine whether your civilization is ready to join the community of galaxies. You have passed every test we could devise." Dr. Rivera looked confused. "What tests? We didn't know we were being tested." "The tests were in how you lived, not in formal examinations. You were tested when you chose to help the Zephyrians despite gaining nothing from it. You were tested when you welcomed refugees from a species that had attacked you. You were tested when you worked together to prepare for our arrival instead of fighting over who would speak for your worlds. The architect gestured, and the display changed to show other galaxies, each one connected to the others by streams of energy that spanned impossible distances. There are older civilizations than ours scattered throughout the universe. Most are content to remain in their own galaxies, having achieved perfect peace and order. But perfection leads to stagnation. Growth requires challenge, change, and the constant introduction of new ideas. Veltar began to understand. You want us to help other species the way we helped each other. We want you to teach what you have learned. In this galaxy alone, there are dozens of species approaching the same crossroads your civilizations faced. They will either learn to cooperate or destroy themselves in endless wars. Kate felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. You're asking us to become teachers and guides for other species. We are offering you the chance to shape the future of intelligent life in this galaxy. The decision is yours, to make freely. We will not force this responsibility on you. The human and Zephyrian representatives looked at each other. Without words, they all knew what their answer would be. They had seen what cooperation could accomplish. They had experienced the joy of discovery and growth that came from working with different perspectives and different strengths. We accept, Kate said simply. But we'll do it our way, as partners helping other partners, not as masters teaching servants. The architect's form pulsed with what seemed like pleasure. That is exactly the answer we hoped to hear. Your civilization is ready to take its place among the galaxy's teachers. As they prepared to return to their own ships, the architect gave them one final gift: complete star charts showing the location of every intelligent species in the galaxy, along with detailed information about their cultures, technologies, and current challenges. Use this knowledge wisely, the architect said. Remember that every species must find its own path to growth. Your role is to show them possibilities, not to force choices upon them. When they returned to Terra Prime, Kate found herself looking at the galaxy with completely new eyes. Thousands of species out there were struggling with the same problems that humans and Zephyrians had faced: war and peace, cooperation and competition, growth and stagnation. It's a big responsibility, Veltar said as they stood together on the observation deck, watching the architect being begin its journey to the next galaxy. The biggest, Kate agreed, but we won't be doing it alone. President Turner's response to their report was immediate and unanimous support from both the Human Council and the Zephyrian Assembly. Within days, the first exploration and contact fleets were being organized, with mixed crews of humans, Zephyrians, and volunteers from their allied species. The age of isolation was over. The age of galactic cooperation was about to begin. And at the center of it all would be the unlikely partnership between a young species that had learned to dream big and an ancient species that had learned to dream again. 10 years had passed since the architects visited Earth and changed the destiny of two civilizations forever. Admiral Kate Morrison, now showing the first touches of gray in her enhanced hair, stood on the bridge of the ISV Harmony, the first ship ever built jointly by humans and Zephyrians working as true equals. The Harmony was everything that both species had dreamed their technology could become. It combined human adaptability with Zephyrian precision, creating a vessel that could travel faster than light, communicate across galactic distances, and serve as a mobile home for crews of mixed species. More importantly, it had become a symbol of what cooperation could achieve. "Admiral," called Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim from the navigation station. She was one of the new generation of humans who had grown up knowing that aliens were friends and partners rather than threats. "We're approaching the Kepler system. The Therian delegation is waiting for us." Kate nodded and settled into her command chair. This would be their 15th first contact mission since the architect visit, and each one had taught them something new about bringing different species together. The Therians were a reptilian species that had recently developed space travel, Their civilization was torn between two philosophies. One group wanted to explore and make contact with other species, while another group believed that aliens would only bring danger and corruption to their pure culture. Dr. Yang, are you ready? Kate asked her current xenopsychologist. Dr. Lisa Yang was the daughter of one of the original contact team members, and she had inherited her mother's gift for understanding alien minds. As ready as anyone can be, Dr. Yang replied. The Therian psychology profiles suggest they respond well to displays of strength and confidence, but they also value honesty above everything else. We need to be direct about our intentions. Admiral C. Veltar, now Kate's permanent second-in-command, studied the approaching Therian fleet through the main display. His crystal body had changed over the years, becoming more colorful and expressive as he learned human emotional responses. Their ships are well designed, he observed. Practical rather than elegant, built for function rather than beauty. This suggests a culture that values efficiency and results. The Therian fleet consisted of 12 ships arranged in a perfect defensive formation. As the Harmony approached, Kate could see weapon ports opening and closing in what appeared to be either a threat display or a nervous reaction to meeting aliens for the first time. Open a communication channel, Kate ordered. Let's see if we can calm them down before someone starts shooting. The Therian commander who appeared on their screen was impressive and intimidating. He was nearly 9 feet tall, covered in dark green scales, with intelligent yellow eyes that seemed to evaluate everything they saw. When he spoke, his voice was deep and careful. I am War Leader Scarex of the Therian Defense Force. You claim to come in peace, but your ship carries weapons that could destroy our entire fleet. Explain your true intentions. Kate stood up so the alien commander could see her clearly. War Leader Scarex, I am Admiral Kate Morrison of the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. Our weapons exist for defense only. We have come to offer your people something precious. The knowledge that you are not alone in the universe, and the friendship of species who have learned to grow stronger together. Scarex's eyes shifted to study Veltar, who had moved to stand beside Kate. You serve alongside crystal beings. Are they your masters or your slaves? Neither, Veltar replied, his crystal face showing a distinctly human smile. We are partners. Admiral Morrison and I have served together for many years. Sometimes she commands, sometimes I do, depending on the situation and our individual strengths. The Therian commander was silent for several long moments, clearly processing this unexpected information. In his culture, every relationship was either dominant or submissive. The idea of true partnership between different species was completely foreign. You ask us to believe that different species can work as equals? Dr. Yang stepped forward. War Leader, we don't ask you to believe anything. We ask you to observe and judge for yourself. May we request permission to visit your world and show you examples of what cooperation has achieved? The negotiations took 3 days. The Therian government was deeply divided about whether to allow the aliens to visit their homeworld. Some saw it as an opportunity to learn advanced technology. Others viewed it as the first step toward conquest and cultural destruction. During the debates, Kate and her crew shared information about the Galactic Cooperation Initiative. Over the past 10 years, they had successfully mediated disputes between warring species, helped others achieve space travel, and established a network of cooperation that now included over 300 worlds. Every species we work with maintains complete independence, Kate explained to the Therian Council via video link. We don't impose our values or our government on anyone. We simply show what's possible when different groups work together while respecting each other's differences. The breakthrough came when Captain Ben Hughes Jr. made an observation that changed everything. He had been studying Therian history and noticed something that even they had forgotten. War Leader Scarex, Hughes said during one of their conversations. Your own history shows examples of cooperation between different Therian tribes. The Great Canal Project was only possible because 5 different tribes shared their unique skills and resources. Scarex looked surprised. You have studied our ancient history? We study the history of every species we meet. We've learned that cooperation isn't something alien that we're trying to force on you. It's something that intelligent beings naturally discover when they're ready to grow beyond their original limitations. That simple observation opened the door to real dialogue. The Therians began to see that working with aliens wasn't abandoning their culture, but extending the same principles that had made their own civilization great. The final agreement was signed aboard the Harmony, with representatives from both sides working together to create a framework for gradual contact and cooperation. The Therians would send observers to visit human and Zephyrian worlds, while the Cooperation Initiative would provide advisors to help with technical and social challenges. As the Therian ships prepared to escort the Harmony to their homeworld, Kate reflected on how much had changed since that first meeting between humans and Zephyrians 30,000 years ago. Each contact gets easier, she told Veltar as they stood together on the observation deck. We're learning how to approach different species in ways that make sense to them. More than that, Veltar replied, we're creating a new model for how civilizations can interact. The old pattern was always conquest or isolation. We're showing a third option. The visit to the Therian homeworld was a complete success. The Therians were amazed by the diversity of the Cooperation Initiative fleet, which now included representatives from dozens of different species all working together. More importantly, they were impressed by the practical results of cooperation. Your medicine ships healed diseases we thought were incurable, observed the Therian chief scientist. Your engineering teams have solved problems that our best minds struggled with for generations. This partnership you offer has real value. Within a year, the first Therian scientists were working on human research projects, while human and Zephyrian advisors helped improve Therian technology and social organization. The pattern that had worked so well for the past decade continued to prove itself. But the most significant moment came during the farewell ceremony, when war leader Scarex made an announcement that surprised everyone. The Therian Defense Force officially requests permission to join your Galactic Cooperation Initiative. We want to help you contact other species and show them what we have learned. Kate felt the same pride she had experienced when the first Zephyrian refugees asked to join human military units. The circle was expanding, with each new member becoming a teacher for the next group of species they would encounter. As the Harmony departed the Kepler system, now accompanied by 2 Therian ships joining their permanent fleet, Kate looked ahead to their next mission. The star charts provided by the architects showed thousands of species throughout the galaxy, each one facing the same choices that humans, Zephyrians, and now Therians had faced. How many more? She asked Veltar. As many as we can reach, he replied. The architects were right. This galaxy is ready for a new age of cooperation. We're just helping it begin. In the 10 years since first contact with the architects, the Galactic Cooperation Initiative had grown from a small alliance between 2 species into a network spanning hundreds of worlds and dozens of different civilizations. Each new member brought unique strengths and perspectives that made the whole group stronger. But more than that, they had proven that the universe was big enough for everyone to grow and prosper together. Competition didn't have to mean conflict. Difference didn't have to mean division. Growth didn't have to come at someone else's expense. As the stars stretched past them at faster-than-light speeds, Kate thought about the future. Somewhere out. There, the architects were watching and learning from what their former students had achieved. And somewhere else, young civilizations were taking their first steps into space,